Notice that right now we've always used this big S. So when we hit debug, things are going to change a little bit. Notice over here it says background tasks, and over here it's just switched down to our debug icon. And when this pause looking symbol here changes into an arrow, it's ready to do our debugging. And there we go. Now it's a full-fledged debugger, which means it deals with threads, stacks, and so forth. The only thing out of here that we want to look at is variables and probably breakpoints for today. So I'm going to right mouse click on threads and just left mouse click to get rid of threads, right mouse click on here, left mouse click call stack, and even if I go up to variables here, I can left mouse click on watch to get rid of that. And we've got basically everything we need here, variables and breakpoints for what we want to do. Now, if we take a look at our variables, we have one here called name, and name is unsigned char name. It's an array, and it's got 120 characters in it. If we open this up, you can see that it's going to start at element 0 and go all the way up to element 119, a total of 120 elements in our array. Notice that these values aren't all uniform. That means they're random. And why are they random? Because arrays such as name and variables here like integer I and X are in RAM. RAM is random access memory, and it's full of random values when you first power up. Notice I and X here are random as well. And if we hadn't declared volatile here, it would actually say optimized out for both of these, because it's going to try and optimize them by putting them into CPU registers instead of taking up RAM. And then later when we want to make our code more efficient, we can just take out the word volatile and it'll work the same way. Now we're going to always pretty much use step over, except when we get to functions that we've actually written ourselves. Now this is void clear void, which is our function prototype for clear. This is the function call. And if we do step into, because it's our function, it's going to take us down to the function definition. Now the function definition basically says printf escape less square bracket 2 capital J, and then it says flush standard out. Now we're going to switch over here to our WizWiki serial monitor screen, and it still says input all your name from the previous program. So what we're going to do is we're going to step over that, and as soon as we step over, it didn't clear out that. It now cleared that out with an escape less square bracket 2 capital J. If we step over again, it's going to take us back up to our position 1, 1, and I'm going to step into this one. And you can see that it sent down integer x and integer y, which should be 1 and 1. So it's changed the garbage values over here, the random values, into 1, 1. So if we take a look at this printf, it's escape less square bracket %d is our 1, semicolon %d is our 1, capital H. So it's escape less square bracket 1, semicolon 1, capital H, which should position us back over here. Let's do a step over. And until we do the flush, then it goes in the left margin. Let's do a step over again. Now it's going to go through a lot of extra stuff here, but what I want to do is set a breakpoint over here just by going past this thing here and clicking till this red ball comes up. And notice here it says that on line 41 I've got a breakpoint. What that means is I can run down to that breakpoint by hitting the run button. So if I click here and say Dave ROSS and hit enter, then it's at this point here, which means it's put a number of things into our array. Let's take a look at that. Let's open up our array again. We've got Dave space ROSS and then the \R, which is our enter key that we put in from our keyboard. But when we do a printf %s, all strings that we send to our output device have to be null terminated, which means they have to have a 0, 0, 0, or quote \0 or 0x00. So it's going to have to change this element 9 here to be a 0, 0. Let's trace over that, and let's open this up again. And we can see that ROSS now it has a null here, and now it can print this out. Now it's positioning it at row 12, column X, and X is still garbage. It's going to calculate that. Let's see what that value is. Our X is now 55. So it's going to have to start printing at column 55 to make sure Dave Ross is centered in a 120 character screen. Let's step over this one here, and it still hasn't printed my name yet. Why hasn't it printed my name? Because it's going to need something to force this to go to the screen. So if I hit this again, Dave Ross, because it now has another statement that still has to come to the screen. Let's click on this again, hit any key to continue. Has been forced out because we're trying to get input here. To get out of this debug mode, we hit this square box up here that's red,